Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Climbing series. I'm Marcus, a not-so-great climber from Vancouver, Canada, who's hoping to get a little bit better through analysis and increased motivation for climbing. I'm really excited to talk about this episode. I think this entire week I've been climbing really well again. I definitely feel like I'm at the peak of my climbing, probably lifetime. And I think lots of the different problems that I was on were a lot of fun, and I was getting quite a few sends. So starting with my first session of the week, we're here in High Vancouver. These two climbs here were set as part of their setter roulette thing, and I thought they were both pretty good, lots of fun. And then I hopped into this blue 4 hex. If you watched last episode, I couldn't even make it to that move. I think that first crimp is pretty bad. Luckily, my friend Liz showed me how to get to this peanut hold and inspired me to really give this another try. So I was really happy to make significant progress on this first attempt here. But unfortunately, I was finding it really hard to make the next move. It didn't feel like I could go statically, so on this next attempt I decided to go pretty dynamically, and that's just a little bit too hard. So here I commit to just being really static, and here my eyes are literally closed. I'm just reaching as far as I possibly can. I just barely managed to make it, and the hold is honestly pretty good, but definitely here I was being as cautious as I could, really trying to be a very static climber, which I am not. And this last move is pretty scary. You gotta commit to that final big move, but I was really happy to get that send. It seemed impossible when I tried it last session, and just with a little bit of beta, I managed to make the send within 3 attempts there. So I was really happy about that. Next I hopped onto this black 4 hex, which I had seen people trying, and I actually hadn't seen anyone get yet. And everyone was telling me that it's a paddle so you go left, right, left. And I was trying to see if I could just stick it. And I felt pretty close to being able to just hold it there and not commit to the paddle. I had also seen quite a few people go on that attempt, I just tried to see if I could start from lower down, just because in this position it feels so hard to generate any momentum. What I was going to say is I saw quite a few people throw in a toe hook here on the right. I didn't even bother trying because just looking at it, I assumed I'd be really stuck. And as I was making these attempts, I was definitely getting a lot closer, until these last two. I don't know what was wrong. I wasn't even getting the left hand up, so I decided to move on, thinking that if I have time, I'll come back to that later. So if you've watched a few episodes back, I had decided that I'm going to try and do a little bit more slab climbing. Definitely something that I struggle with a lot, and therefore I think I have a lot of room for improvement, and I think it'll help me a lot with my finger strength. So here I am on this green 3 hex, and I thought the start was a little bit tricky to read. I do recognize now that these holds are a little small to see, but honestly I'd say this green 3 hex was not too bad. No struggle at all, really. So I decided to hop on this blue 5 hex since, again, my friend Liz made significant progress on it, and so it didn't seem completely out of the question. But wow, I was really struggling just even to start. It seemed like you had to rock over on that foot, and the foot felt so weird because it's just around the corner of the volume, and wow, it just felt so awkward. I saw so many people complete that move, and they made it look so easy. But for me, I was having a lot of trouble with this. So I was trying to see if there was anything else I could really do here. But yeah, I just barely have the finger. I'm hoping that I can just lean to the right, and luckily here, Liz gives me some beta, tells me to try and get that right foot out first, kind of go feet first here, and then I can twist and get that left foot up. and it feels super awkward, but I do manage to make that move, and I can try at least the next little section. So here I just have to kind of bring the right foot over and then really pull my left foot in, really stop myself from barn dooring, so I'm actually really pulling and pushing at the same time pretty hard. And now this top part's kind of insane. That crimp there's like nothing there, and you have to match. I'm so curious if yeah, unfortunately I'm realizing now that we didn't get a lot of that top section filmed. Hopefully in a couple other clips maybe it will show up. But yeah, I try again because it definitely feels a little doable, and I decided to bring my chalk bag with me this time since my hands are getting pretty sweaty and that slab section's just pretty hard. So we chalk up and try and make that move again. So right foot over, right hand over, and stop myself from barn dooring. And unfortunately I barn door. So I tried just this top section real quick. I climb up using just the down climbs and stuff, and here you'll be able to see that blue hold on the far left, top left. It's a crimp, and I really hope, darn, it doesn't show. I'll make sure I get video of it next time I'm there. But it's a paddle dyno at the top, which is kind of crazy, and that first move is just so far. So anyways, I move on to this purple 3 hex, which left me speechless. I couldn't read it. All the holds felt so small. Like, these hand holds were basically like foot chips. I don't really know what the heck I was grabbing. This is very like classic slab, and the stuff that I'm absolutely terrible at. And it was so humbling just getting absolutely demolished by this 3. But yeah, I couldn't figure out if I wanted to, how much I wanted to rely on the wall on the right. Even this crossover felt pretty hard, and just, yeah, it was just really hard to stay close to the wall there. This was by far my best attempt. So I try and move as far left as I can using the little handholds there. And for the first time ever, my left forearm just starts cramping. I think it's like right about here. As I start pulling, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm pretty sure this was the exact move. I could feel my left forearm cramping, and I'm having trouble just like even opening my hand there. But yeah, this next move just looks so far, and it feels so scary to trust the foot. And the right hand doesn't feel amazing. And so in hindsight, I think I need to make that move more statically. I think I committed to like going pretty dynamically. But I think just like that blue climb, I need to trust in the static method. So I decided to hop back onto this black 4 hex. Really committed to try and get to this paddle. Just coming back to it with a little fresh, being a little fresher, just like new perspective. And I was getting really, really close. A lot closer on every attempt. There I'm getting my hand there, I'm just not even properly grabbing it. Until finally I do manage to stick it. And so I was really psyched about that. If you watched last episode, it was my first ever paddle dyno that I've sent at the Hive. So to have gone another one the session after just felt insane. So I was really, really happy about that. So for session 2, we're here in Hive Surrey, and this orange climb to the right of me is the whole reason that we're here. It comes down at the end of the week, and I really want to get it. It's a 5 hex, and I think it's like a proper 5 hex, and it is very much my style to an extent. So because of this, I decided to try and warm up on quite a few 3 hexes and stay off any 4s before trying the 5. But lots of these 3s were pretty tough, honestly. This green 3 hex I think is one of the harder ones for sure. I definitely had to rely a little bit on my strength. And even this yellow I'd say was non-trivial. This was definitely one of the easier ones of the few. But the holds are not necessarily amazing, and also the moves are pretty big. But yeah, if you've been watching previous episodes, like, I think that orange 5 is something that I really want to be able to get. I'm mostly just falling right at the top, so I think if I can be more efficient at the bottom and figure out what to do and have a bit more energy at the top, it'll be a lot smoother. At this point, I haven't found a way to get to the finish hold, so the whole time that's just like all I've been thinking about all week, about how I really want to send that climb. This purple I also thought was pretty cool. This next hold is a little bit slopey, but again, nothing too crazy. So having warmed up on 4 3 hexes, I was ready to take on this 5. And it felt really smooth. Getting that toe hook in at the start, the crimp on the right feels pretty solid. Switch the feet and make this match here. Big throw to the left, and this big throw to the right. I managed to get my thumb right into the bolt hole pretty easily, and here I managed to make the match. And what I find is, if I come down just a little bit, I can get the right foot down and this left foot toe hook. And so I managed to stick a hand on the finish. And I'm really thinking like, oh my gosh, this is it. So many people were watching, they're like, oh, you've got this, you've got this. And I was so disheartened to drop that finish. I really was unsure what to do there. It felt too hard to just make the match and rely on the right hand. It felt very slopey. Like, the finish hold is so much worse than I was expecting. And I just kept looking for feet, and since I couldn't find any, like, I was just pumping out. So we give it another go, but after that first attempt, I was gassed. Like, it is the most pumped I've felt in a very long time. And yeah, so here I tried just the top section because I can tell I'm too gassed. I just want to see if there's a way that I can even make that match on the finish. But even here, I can just tell that I am absolutely pumped. I can't even really make the feet work here. I can't really get them to stick. And yeah, I just move on. But that really, I feel it for literally the rest of my session. It's the most pumped I've felt in so long. Just because that whole top section is very slopey, and I'm not great on slopers. And it's such a weird feeling because usually these days I think it's my like tendons and fingers that die out first. But yeah, I can really tell that my forearms were just absolutely gassed. So I'm on this green 4 hex, which I've been trying for so many sessions, and I'm struggling so hard to make a match here. The hold is blocked so that you can only fit in 3 fingers onto this crimp. And I'm not amazing with 3-finger crimps. And second of all, just the match is just so hard. I'm terrible at matching. And that's something I want to work on a lot more. So I've been hopping on that basically every session, but I've been making very minimal progress. So I moved on to this purple 4 hex, which I think is easily one of the hardest 4s in the gym. It makes no sense to me. Very dynamic. I think it should be a 5 for sure. But yeah, you make this big dyno to the left, and most people don't even stick it. As in, like, they don't just hold it there. They jump towards the left and then convert their momentum to the right and make the next dyno. Like, it's all one very fluid movement. Which is just crazy. So I'm giving it like quite a few looks, trying to figure out like the world I'm supposed to do there. On that last attempt, I climbed up the blue just so I could feel what the finishing position kind of feels like there, because I don't think I can do it all in one motion. I do want to be able to stick it, but yeah, this just feels insane. So I decided to move on again, trying to get a little bit better at slab. There was a whole brand new slab set that I hadn't climbed yet, so hopped onto this pink. Honestly, super straightforward, nothing to really talk about there. This blue 4 hex the top looked pretty scary, but the bottom didn't look too bad. So here I was having a little bit of trouble starting this, but after that, like, that pocket's pretty good. There's a screw on top of that left hand there. There's a foot chip on this hold on the right that's pretty good, and another one where my right hand is right now that's like not amazing. And I'm looking around like, where in the world am I supposed to get my feet? And I'm really unsure. You can tell that I'm just a little puzzled and confused. So on this next attempt, I do basically the same thing, but try and see if I can use that left foot chip a little bit better. And so I'm wondering if I can just throw all the way to the right. But yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And so someone had told me, and what I saw a guy do is he brought his right foot up, but like, look at how high that is. That's basically where my neck is. And that's just ridiculously high. So I try and see if I can just mantle off these other holds, or try and get the left foot up or something. But again, that also feels really, really high. So we move on and try the other 4 hex that's on the slab set. So here, I think this first move was really difficult. Ideally, I want to rock onto that right foot a little bit more here, just like that. And I was having a lot of trouble staying close to the wall there. I do shift my hand positioning here, so my left hand now is... Oh, well, I tried for a second. And even the right hand here, I'm just trying to see if I can grab the hold a little bit differently so I can make this mantle work. But yeah, it just doesn't really feel great. I switched to the left hand, so that's a bit more of a pinch, and I can jump into this position, and this felt significantly better. But the left hand just kept slipping. So you'll see here as well. It becomes kind of more like a pinch, and that's definitely something I also struggle with. And I'm having, yeah. So unfortunately, we move on again, and I'm pretty frustrated at this point. I'm feeling super pumped, nothing's going. And so I hop on this blue 4 hex on this wall that's pretty overhung at the start. And I saw quite a few people struggling with these first few moves, but I was really happy about how everything was flowing here. There's 2 little crimps where you can see a lot of chalk mark on the volume, so bump left. And I was really happy to find this high left foot here, and actually being able to use it. And from there, it was not too bad. The left crimp was significantly better than I was expecting, and luckily the finish was a jug. So I was really happy to get the flash on that blue, because I don't think it was trivial, and this was at the end of my session, and I was completely gassed. So this pink 4 hex, I kind of flubbed the first move, and I was trying to see if there was something else I could do, but I realized I just gotta be accurate. And from there, yeah, rock over to the left there, And this whole section felt a lot more straightforward. The handholds are significantly better than I was expecting. But again, I'm just very gassed. And right about here, I'm like in full tryhard mode. That high right foot's like just felt very high to me. Committing to this left hand felt a little tough. Once I stuck it, it felt really good. And I'm looking for a handhold. I find the hold on the right, and I stick the finish. So I was really happy to get both of these 4 hexes at the end of my session. And I decided to try at least one more 4 hex real quick. And this one I think is crazy. So it's a toe hook start, and I realized it's just really far. So I need like a running start so that I can swing myself into the position. So I'm giving these quite a few attempts to really just establish. And even though I get the right foot there, I realize I'm pretty sure I need both feet. So I finally managed to stick it. I'm basically completely extended, and I realize there's no shot I can do anything here. Like, what? What am I supposed to grab? Like, it just felt awful. So we move on. Actually, sorry, we end the session there. So with 2 4 hexes, I was pretty happy about it, but still, I didn't achieve my goal of getting that orange 5 hex. So for my last session of the week, I am back, and again, I have one goal in mind. It's to get that orange 5 hex. And based on last session, I realized I have basically 1 attempt. I think after 1 attempt, I'm going to be gassed. So I need to really make that 1 attempt count. So something I do a little bit differently, and I wasn't sure if this was the play, is I significantly shorten my warm-up in terms of climbing warm-up. Also, sorry, I think that yellow 3 hex was so sick. But yeah, I just did 2 3s, and I'm like, I'm just gonna hop on this. And it was interesting. I could feel kind of the anxiety and pressure of this send. It felt really cool. It felt like back when I used to compete in Dragon Boat. It's that kind of like nervous, excited energy. And here I managed to get the right foot, stick the left toe, hit the finish hold, and I'm looking for a right foot, and I'm like, you know what's good enough right now, I can make that match. So I was so excited about that. That's something I've been working on for like 4 sessions. To be able to string it together there in just that 1 attempt felt actually incredible. It was definitely a moment that I was like, oh, I'm really proud of the progress that I've been making throughout this series, and like I'm definitely getting better. I think this session has made me go like, okay, like I definitely think I'm at my peak climbing performance at the moment. So yeah, just really happy about that. And that happiness didn't last terribly long once I hopped on the screen, because again, it reminds me how terrible I am at matching. But yeah, so instead I hop onto this black 4 hex after. It was being taken down after the session, so I thought I'd at least give it a try, and it didn't look terribly hard, but I was struggling to make this first move. So if you can't see, there is a crimp on the volume on the left hand there, and once I hit it, I feel like I need to switch feet, but it felt very hard to switch feet there. And so luckily here I used the right hand on that kind of undercling, and then throw to the volume, and the volume feels just really far. And just this first move is so much harder than I'm expecting every single time, and definitely not something I was consistent with. So here, matching the left hand, big throw, full commit, and I come off. So after that attempt, I decided that I think I have to do it even more dynamically and switch to the left hand to try and throw and catch left hand, right hand at the same time. So here, throw, and luckily I catch them both. But now I'm still trying to figure out where in the world do I put my feet, because that next hold is actually decently far. And I was really happy to find the right foot there on the higher part of the volume, and I toe hook that left hold. And unfortunately, I make the mistake there of not switching the feet, and I recognize it pretty much instantly that I needed to swap feet there. So that's like my next plan of attack. Once I get to that section, switch the feet so that I can move the right hand. But wow, I am just struggling on attempt after attempt on making this first move. I'm not entirely sure what the difference was, but I think I started being a lot more intentional of how I'm grabbing that left hand after. So I'm getting like really frustrated because like it's the first move and it's something that I had done before, so I shouldn't be falling on the section on these earlier sections when I want to be working on that higher top section. But yeah, I could tell that frustration was getting to me because I could remember that I was supposed to look for that left toe hook, but it felt too high at that time, and I completely forgot that I need to move that right foot up towards the top of that volume. So again, here I'm just really struggling, and I think the frustration is kind of getting to me because I'm not paying attention to the things that I need to. I'm still too busy thinking about how to fix the top section, opposed to really being intentional about sticking that left hand onto the crimp. So here, I do manage to get back to this position, but yeah, I cannot describe the frustration I was feeling. I think it was weird. Like, I don't think I'd been this frustrated at a climb in a while, because it felt so doable, but I was just making so many small, silly micro beta errors. Like, there on that throw, I feel like I hit that almost every time, but I just don't think my mental acuity was there. But yeah, here I managed to stick it, bring the right foot up, the left toe, and unfortunately I do flop that. So I take a much longer rest, give myself like a few minutes to calm down, and everything becomes a lot smoother from there. So I think it's a good reminder that sometimes I need to, instead of like banging out attempts, just like take a longer break. But yeah, once I swap the feet here, the right hand's really easy. The next two holds are pretty good as well. And luckily the finish is not too bad, and I get the send. So despite all that frustration, I did end up getting the send in the end. And let's talk about this pink 4 hex. These are the start holds. If you saw, it's pretty slopey, and it's just hard to read. Sorry, not slopey, but like, yeah, that first crimp is pretty slanted, the one on the left. And so try to figure out just how to even hold this. This is the last 4 hex slabish section. And I'm just struggling to figure out how in the world to start this thing. Eventually I decide to put my left in kind of like that Gaston position and to crimp on the right. But yeah, this climb made no sense to me. So on the volume, there's kind of like a small circular hold that looks like you can put your thumb in, and there's a crimp on the top right that I swear there's nothing there. It feels absolutely awful. So together, I felt like I could grab them together like this, but it felt very, very wide. And even in that position, you see my hand just completely slip off. And so I think I realized that I probably have to use just the crimp. But wow, like I try and climb the blue section and just see, like, with the feet how this all feels, and it feels terrible. Like, I really don't know what in the world I'm supposed to do there. So I give it another try. Just really trying to commit to that crimp on the right, but yeah, it's just too hard. We move back to this black 4 hex, and I'm struggling so much more with the start than I did before. And I'm not entirely sure why. I think looking back at the tape now, I think I need to jump into the position a little bit more so that I can get really up close to the wall and really use that left foot. But yeah, I decided to move on to the blue 4 hex again. I didn't think I was gonna make any progress on it. It's pretty much just to show my friend like how the beta works for the start. And just showing how ridiculous this high right foot is. Like, look at that. That's basically where my shoulder is. And as I turn my right knee in and really pull, I'm like, oh, I did it. So I was really happy about that. Finding this drop knee on the right to get the left foot up. And this whole section after felt pretty solid until right about here, I placed my right foot on top of a dual text hold. That hold on the right is dual text, and it's too late now for me to lower my foot, so I just gotta commit to this jug, make the match, and I was super happy about that. I got a 5, got some 4s, had a great session, great week, feeling like a beast.